Gwyneth Paltrow won an Oscar at 26, appeared in 7 Marvel films, and has a filmography that's generated over $7 billion at the box office. And yet, the biggest chunks of her wealth have almost nothing to do with acting. Today, we're covering Paltrow's journey from a free weekly email sent from her home's kitchen to a brand that raised $140 million in venture capital, launched a Netflix show, and built a ghost kitchen empire that attracted the co-founder of Uber. By the end, you'll be able to map out exactly how Gwyneth turned a personal newsletter into a billion-dollar direct-to-consumer machine that made her Marvel checks look like pennies in comparison. All right, let's get into it. Act 1. What she had and why it wasn't enough. By the late 2000s, Paltrow had everything Hollywood says you're supposed to want. An Oscar at 26, 7 Marvel films, and countless offers for large acting roles. The money was real, but the math underneath it had a fatal flaw that almost nobody talks about. Acting income is a straight trade of time for money. Every dollar requires Paltrow's physical presence on a set. The shelf life of the actor model is tied to age, cultural relevance, and the willingness of studios to keep writing checks. And eventually, for every actor, it stops working. So what did Paltrow actually have that was worth something beyond the next contract? In 2008, she started a free weekly email from a London kitchen with no product, no revenue, and no real business plan. The name Goop came from a comment that successful internet companies had the double O's in their name, and her initials were GP. By 2014, that newsletter had roughly 700,000 subscribers, built with a 0 paid acquisition and 0 ad spend. Just consistent output, a personal voice, and an audience that trusted Paltrow's taste more than they trusted most editors, doctors, or retailers. Goop formally incorporated in 2011, and estimates put first-year sales at around $130,000. With no product team, no supply chain, and no proof she could sell anything, people still bought. That's proof of demand, and demand before infrastructure is the most valuable thing a business can have. She had an audience, she had trust, she had proof those people would spend real money when she pointed at something. The typical celebrity move at this point: slap your name on products that someone else makes and cash the royalty checks. Paltrow looked at that playbook and decided to do the exact opposite. If you want to see how other operators use this exact same distribution to build 9-figure empires, hit subscribe. This channel is where we stop looking at celebrities as entertainment and start analyzing the money systems behind them. Every single week, this channel breaks down how operators build institutional wealth from unconventional starting points. Phase 2, owning the infrastructure. The standard celebrity brand deal has one move: license your name, let a corporation handle product and distribution, and collect 5 to 15% of revenue on the back end. It looks like easy money. In reality, it's one of the worst deals in business, renting out your most valuable asset for a fraction of its worth while someone else captures every dollar of long-term equity. Paltrow refused that deal. Instead of following the herd, she doubled down on something that looked wildly inefficient. She built the distribution channel herself. That newsletter wasn't a hobby. It was a direct line to hundreds of thousands of people who had opted in and trusted her. When she finally decided to sell something in 2012, she launched an e-commerce store directly into that audience. Estimates put first-year sales around $1.5 million. No paid ads, no retailers, the list already existed, and the consumer acquisition cost was close to 0. That's what happens when distribution is owned outright. When you sell your own products at 60 to 80% gross margin, the ownership math takes over. Paltrow used that logic to shift Goop from selling other people's products to building its own lines. Goop Beauty, G Label, Goop Wellness, each one was a deliberate move to expand margins. Investors noticed. In 2016, Goop reportedly raised $15 million at a $65 million valuation. In 2018, another $50 million at a roughly $250 million valuation, with revenue said to have tripled year over year. Investors pointed not to any single product, but to the depth of the community and repeat purchase behavior inside that own channel. That same year, Paltrow officially took the CEO title. A celebrity in a figurehead role tells investors to bet on a brand. A celebrity in the operating seat tells them to bet on an operator. But building a high-margin brand around a single person creates a new problem. What happens when that person can't be everywhere at once? Phase 3, the unfair advantage. Personal brands are powerful right up until the moment the person can't physically be in every room that the business needs. The challenge wasn't replacing Paltrow at the center, it was building systems that let her lead multiple revenue lines without everything depending on her day-to-day presence. The solution was a flywheel. Celebrity attention drives content. content. Content builds trust. Trust enables commerce. Commerce then generates capital, and capital funds the next move that generates even more attention. Each rotation amplifies the one before it. The Netflix deal in 2019 is the cleanest example. Goop signed on to produce the Goop Lab. Structurally, it flipped normal acquisition economics. Most brands pay to get in front of customers. Here, Netflix paid to put Goop in front of millions. Netflix funded the distribution, the show built awareness, and that attention flowed back to Goop's store. Paltrow turned her top-of-funnel engine into a revenue stream instead of a cost center. Starting in 2017, Goop launched live wellness events with tickets ranging from $500 to $4,000. The first drew over 600 people. Live events like this have brutal but beautiful unit economics. Someone paying $4,000 to spend the weekend inside the brand isn't just a consumer. They become a high-value advocate at that point. Goop Kitchen followed the same principle in food. Launched as a ghost kitchen in 2021 in LA, it cut out dining rooms and front-of-house overhead. Reports estimate revenue grew around 60% year over year, and by 2024, investors including Uber co-founder Travis Kalanick had put in $15 million at a $90 million valuation. Kalanick reportedly called Paltrow one of the most impressive operators he's seen in a decade of delivery investing. Paltrow has made over 60 personal investments in companies like Uber, Pinterest, Canva, and even OpenAI. In 2023, she formalized that into a $75 million fund, Kinship Ventures. And the stress test for any model is what happens when you run out of cheap capital and have to live on your own numbers. That's where the cracks in Goop's empire start to show. Act 4. The cracks in the empire. None of this makes the model perfect. Reports estimate Goop has raised over $140 million in venture capital across 8 rounds. After 17 years, it has reportedly never produced a single fully profitable year. In 2024, the pressure became visible. 2 rounds of layoffs cut about 24% of staff. Senior leaders left, and Goop quietly exited entire categories to focus on only 3 verticals showing real traction: beauty, fashion, and food. The venture math is brutal. If you raise $140 million at a $250 million valuation, investors don't need a nice outcome. They need a massive one. Some estimates suggest Goop would need a roughly $500 to $750 million exit just to hit acceptable returns for its backers. One investor has said Goop should have never raised more than $20 million in the first place. The 2024 reset made one thing clear: Paltrow's brand authority is strongest where her personal taste is the product: beauty, fashion, food. In those spaces, Gwyneth picked this is a complete buying reason. Parasocial trust lets you sell faster and at higher margins in categories where the taste is the deciding factor. At a Forbes event in early 2025, when asked about Goop, Paltrow didn't talk about valuations or Netflix or Kinship. She said she was proud the company was still in business. And that's not a victory lap. That's a founder admitting how hard it is to turn attention into durable economics. Why this matters. Parasocial trust is the most powerful customer acquisition tool we've ever had, but it doesn't replace math. It can get people in the door faster and cheaper. It can't keep an overfunded, under-margined model alive forever. The real game is using trust to accelerate a business that already works on paper, not to subsidize one that doesn't. Every revenue line that Paltrow has today traces back to one structural decision made before any of it existed. She refused to license her name, built the distribution herself, and sold that audience at full margin. That's the blueprint. Build the audience first, own the channel, sell products where your trust actually moves behavior. Parasocial attention was the spark, ownership of distribution and margin was the engine. Subscribe for more breakdowns of how founder-led empires actually get built. I'm Buster. I'll see you next time.